I got a very interesting comment from a wonderful subscriber following a previous comment. So the first comment went like this. Hey, if you had to do analysis all over again, how would you do it? And my answer was, I would do Pugh first and I would do Wade second. Now the question is, hey, Pugh covers things really, really well. And it does multivariate. It's got all these beautiful figures. It's got a lot of problems. Why would you do Wade? I mean, what's up with Wade? And so in this video, I'm going to do a little bit of a comparison, but not too much now. And I'll preface it by saying I'm in the middle of linear algebra, so I'm not warm on analysis. And I may say some things in this video that are a little out of touch because I know I'm a little out of touch with analysis. So this is not going to be a canonical like, oh, the master says this is the way it should be. I mean, you could easily write in the comments and tell me, well, you know, you should have mentioned this other thing and that other thing, and you'll be right, But I did prepare a little, sort of like a summary, and then I'll go to the books very briefly because I've already shown these books before, so it's more about my argument than anything else. So what is the objective that we're trying to attain here by either covering Pugh or covering Wade or covering both? Well, the objective for me is self-mastery of mathematical analysis. Number two, I think in my case, the way that I do things, I need stereo. I think if I have just one book, there's always going to be something that a book doesn't have that a self-learner needs. Whereas when you take a course and you have a professor, you have TAs, you have your colleagues, you just do that book and you do whatever they tell you. You're going to learn so much more in the class and so much more from your classmates and your professor and if you have a TA in the class, that you don't really need to play this game that I, as a self-learner hobbyist, I think I'm forced to play, if you will. Wade has problems in the back with answers, and that's really helpful. Pugh does not. The problems volume is higher for Wade. There's about 750 problems. And Pugh has got about 580 problems, but also, and I'll show when I talk about it, it's the nature of the problems. A lot of the problems in Pugh are the type that are kind of like going hunting. So you're going to have to look up things in the web. You're going to have to do your reach back a lot more with Pugh. Maybe a little bit of baby Rudin, and definitely for the topology, you're going to probably have to go and do a lot of Munkers, which is fine for both of you. I did, and I'll do it again when I go over because there will be a repeat for me. There will have to be for analysis. Now, when it comes to figures, Pugh's got it won by a mile. I mean, the figures are great, but I have to say, when you look at the total volume of content, Wade outstrips Pugh, and of course, the total content volume, baby Rudin wins all the way. I mean, when you look at all the different things that are in baby Rudin that are not in Pugh or Wade, it's a lot. And as I said when I talked about when I talked about Pugh, you could easily double or triple the size of Pugh to cover everything in baby Rudin. That's my opinion. That just happens to be my opinion. But either way, what I'm getting at is the books are complementary. So there'll be reach back to topology and baby Rudin in both books. The problems volume is larger for Wade, but there's a lot of really interesting problems in Pugh too. Let's not discount this book at all. This book is fantastic. They're both really good. And so my answer would be, yes, I still say my answer is I would do Pugh followed by Wade. Because in the case of Pugh, he's got so many figures, and I'm a visual person, that I really, really need that to just get like, oh, wow, I'm thinking about that figure. I get the concept. I think Pugh is going to help me go back and redo all these concepts again. But then the thing that I really like about Wade that Pugh just does not have is the military drill that Wade does. I think it's very useful. Wade is very much sequential, and all the theorems build on each other, and you're always going back to the previous theorem, and everything is built very much like a Lego block set, and that I really love about Wade. So basically, the question is not even do Pugh first, Wade second, Wade first, Pugh second, do both. I think it's, in my case, I will figure a way to redo Wade and do Pugh at the same time, or maybe in sequence. In my case, I would do Pugh first and Wade second. But in the end, for self-learners, I think doing both is always going to be better than just saying, oh, there has to be that best book, and it's got to be Pugh, or there has to be that best book, and it's got to be Wade. I don't think it's a contest between these two. It's more like how you can fit them in sort of like a yin-yang and get the most out of both. So having said that, that's really the crux of my what I'm laying out here. If you say, for example, let's just pick something, the Jacobian, all right? So in the case of Pugh, starts talking about the inverse function theorem in R, and then eventually the inverse function theorem in R becomes something that needs a Jacobian in R to the n. By that time, and this is something that was mentioned in the comment, it is true that Pugh does a better job of filling in all the groundwork earlier than Wade does. That I give to Pugh. I think it's really useful in here. But when you get down to how the books lay out the Jacobian and how all the theorems play out, they're doing the same thing. They're really roughly doing the same thing. They're doing it slightly differently, but you know, you're gonna get the same. If somebody forced you and said you have to pick one, whichever one of these two books you pick, you're gonna learn some analysis. All right, that's what I'm getting at here. So the inverse function theorem, just like the way it's done in Pugh, it's discovered it's mentioned in the R chapter, and then later on when Wade goes into R to the n mode, he goes back and says, hey, you know, I talked about this earlier. Let me tell you about the Jacobian and keep going. So I'm just, what I'm laying out here is the books do a comparable job. And so I think they're both great books. And also in the case of Wade, Wade's got a chapter on Fourier analysis that Pugh does not have. I like that a lot. I really enjoyed reading that chapter, even though I didn't do any problems. That was my mistake. But in the case of the Lebesgue theory, I think Pugh does more. So, conclusion, I think neither book wins in kind of like a boxing fight, and I don't think I want them to. The way that I do self-learning, I would do stereo, and I would do Pugh, followed by Wade. But please say something in the comments, and we'll keep the conversation going. I can always come back and do more about comparing these two books, or going on about the issue of what is the best analysis book, because I think it's a major problem, in my opinion, in mathematics, that nobody to date, in my opinion, and please answer in the comments. I love the back and forth, this back and forth with you all. I still believe that nobody's done a baby Rudin for the 21st century, and I still believe that somebody owes the mathematical community, at least in North America, a book where you don't have to go to baby Rudin and say, what the heck is he saying? Which happens, to me at least, a lot.